Thank you for tuning in to Life's Tea with Elle. And tonight's show is about self-love and self-worth with guest appearances by Sharice and Dr. Shayla. I hope you enjoy. My name is Elle. If you guys don't already know, thank you for tuning in to my show called Life's Tea. Today, we're going to be talking about self-worth and self-love. But before I get to that topic, I want to touch on something that someone asked me. A few things that this person asked me were, what makes me qualified to discuss the things that I'm discussing? And the answer to that would be life, my trials, my tribulations, things that I've gone through that have made me the woman that I am today. And the things that I've gone through that got me to that aha moment where the light bulb comes on in your head and you're like, okay, I've learned from this situation, now it's time to move forward. And sometimes certain people go through things before others. So my purpose of doing this show is to allow the things that I've gone through be a lesson to other people who may not have gone through it yet. Or if you are going through it and your light bulb just didn't come on yet, then I can be that person to help you through those situations. And another question that this certain someone asked me was, what is the show going to be about? Or what is my purpose? And I thought I made that clear in the first video, but just in case I didn't. My purpose is to help women, youth, my age or older, with things that happen in life, things that happen to you, things that we go through that we may feel like we're going through alone. However, someone else may have gone through the exact same thing or something similar, and they can help you get through those things by giving you feedback on what they went through and what happened in their life. And that would be me. And that is my purpose. My sole purpose for this show is if I can prevent people from making the same mistakes that I made in life, I plan to do that. As well as talk about other topics that are relevant, news, world news, gossip, and then also giving beauty tips, health tips, fitness tips, and just kind of giving you something to watch that's more so on a positive note and something that can help you in everyday life as opposed to drama and the stuff that we see. Also, I plan on having guests come on the show who are knowledgeable about the certain topics that we're going to discuss, such as health, mental health awareness, people who can discuss domestic violence, because we are going to touch on those, breast cancer awareness. I'll have a doctor come on the show that's going to talk about how you can prevent breast cancer. And I also have some people who have experienced it firsthand in life with their family members or may have had it themselves who will actually come on the show and discuss those topics with us. So it won't be just me on the show by myself talking about certain things, because obviously I haven't gone through everything that you guys have gone through. So there will be some things that we'll discuss with people who are more knowledgeable. Okay? So with that being said, we're going to go into self-love and self-worth. This topic is very dear to me because it probably took me literally till I was like 28 to finally have that light bulb moment that I was talking about earlier, where I actually feel like I genuinely know what I deserve. I genuinely know myself, And when I say know myself, you can't really love yourself and love all of you if you don't know yourself. So, with that being said, sometimes it takes certain people longer than others, and I do believe that it has a lot to deal with your upbringing and what you were taught at a younger age. And some people, they just born like that. Like they come out the womb like, I am it, I'm here, I am she. Like, what? You know? And some people aren't that. Some people need to be taught or showed how they need to be treated. And I'm one of those people. I'm one of those people where I went a very long time thinking that, you know, I'm gonna go with the flow type of chick. Like, you know, I could put other people's needs before mine, and I love to help people. I genuinely just care about people by nature. I'm a nurturer by nature. So in my mind, you know, there's nothing wrong with me doing these things. There's nothing wrong with me putting people before me. There's nothing wrong with me, you know, dealing with someone who may not have their stuff completely all the way together, because I can help them. No big deal. Not realizing that I'm worth more than some things that some people are willing to offer. I'm worth more than, you know, somebody who just wants to kick it. I'm worth more than somebody who wants to Netflix and chill. I'm worth more than somebody who just wants to keep popping babies out and having a girlfriend or a baby mama but never wants to get married. I'm worth more than going to the movies and to a dinner twice a year. I'm worth more than, you know, being somebody's side chick. Like, women today think that certain things are like, that should have never been made to be okay. But like now, it's like to a whole nother level. Like, it's okay to be disrespected on all levels as a woman now, today. And I'm not saying all women, because there are some who still have certain values and value themselves and know that they are worthy of the best treatment and worthy of the man who will do anything for them and go out of his way to show his lady that he cares about her and that he loves her and that, you know, she is everything to him. But I see so much of it that it makes me sick, especially with me being at the point where I'm 29 years old, never been married, 3 kids, two fathers for my children. And when I look back on my life and I see how I have not accomplished so many things that I've wanted to accomplish, and how I've really dedicated years to relationships, failed relationships, and to people who weren't worthy. And it's like, dag, like, where did the time go? Where did the time go? What was I thinking? If I would have known then what I know now, all of those things run through your mind. And I would hate for someone who's younger than me to be going in the same direction that I'm going in, down that same road, and then I just sit back and let it happen. Or I don't at least try to convince you to take a different path so that you're not 10 years later like me, like, what happened? Where did I go wrong? And feeling like you sold yourself short because you spent so much time just living, going through the motions, doing what you think you're supposed to do, which is totally wrong. Putting a cart before the horse, as my mother would say. You know, having babies before marriage, that's not okay. You know, you getting into relationships with people who should just be friends. People who are not even on your level, and you just thinking, oh, because the vibe is right, maybe because y'all fornicated a little bit And that got your judgment clouded. So now you think it's okay for you to go ahead and, oh, we can have a baby, we can start a family. You know, it's like from one extreme to the next, and when you look back at it, it's like, what was I thinking? And I know there's so many women like that go through that same thing where they're just like, yeah, we had so much chemistry, we were so cool, like we had the same visions and the same dreams, and then you find out like later on down the line that old dude really just was telling you that just so that he can, you know, smash or do whatever he wanted to do with you. And then the next thing you know, you knocked up, y'all ain't happy, and then you a single mom with 1, 2, 3, however many kids you decided to have within that time period where you were just not valuing yourself. So my point is that we have to do better in the sense that we have to know our worth, know what we want, make plans, make goals, love ourselves, love on yourself. Wake up in the morning and talk to yourself in the mirror and love on yourself and know that you are worth more than heartache, headache, stress that you caused on yourself. And it's like you can't be mad at anyone but yourself because you brought it on yourself. At some point in your life, maybe that was what you wanted, but you have to think past that, think towards the future. Think about all the things that you want to accomplish and look at your current situation and say to yourself, self, is this something that I can accomplish within XYZ amount of years with me feeling the way that I feel or me doing the things that I'm doing right now? And then to change over to the self-esteem part of it. You know, sometimes we put in our minds and in our heads and we let the enemy tell us that it's okay for us to deal with this because that's all we deserve. Or we're not worth nothing more than that. Or we can't find nobody better than that. That's a lie. That's a lie. There are plenty of fish in the sea, plenty of men that who were raised correctly or just want to do better and know that you're worth more than what you're putting up with, more than what you're dealing with. And even if it's not a relationship situation and you just don't have self-confidence, period, or you just don't value yourself, my best advice for that is to pray about it. Pray about it. Pray about it. It gets better. Trust me. It gets better. And don't ever let anybody tell you that you're not worth something or that you can't do something or that you're not pretty enough or that you're not smart enough, or whatever the lies are that you're hearing on a daily basis. You are beautiful. You are smart. You can do whatever you want to do, and don't let nobody tell you you can't. Keep striving, keep pushing. God blesses those who are diligent. Diligence is key. Make sure that you're focused. Make sure you surround yourself with positive people that will encourage you and uplift you. And if you don't have nobody around you like that, then so be it. Be by yourself, you and God. Let that be your self-encouragement, which also builds self-love and self-worth. Learn yourself. Take time, spend time with yourself. We spend so much time, especially as mothers and just women in general. We have the task of so much weight on our shoulders, and we're doing so much, and we're not focusing on us. Take the time to learn yourself, love yourself, and know that once you do these things, it'll slowly begin to get better for you, because at that point, you know what you need. You know who you are, and knowing who you are is the key to loving yourself. You can't be nobody else. You can only be you. Love you and work on making yourself a better you. That's all you can do. And with that being said, that's going to be the end of my segment for today. And I hope you guys tune in next week. I'm going to be releasing what the next topic will be about next week, every Thursday at 8 p.m. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to Life's Tea with Al.
I'm Dr. Shaylin Smith. I'm an internal medicine doctor.
And I'm Sharice, and I work in the behavioral health and mental health field.
So the question for today is, how can you expect someone to love you if you don't love yourself?
Well, sister, great question. But the thing is, you can't. And I have a few reasons why. And let me know if you agree or disagree. First of all, when you don't love yourself, you're not able to set the expectations and the boundary of your partner, which will then lead to the demise of the relationship at some point. Also, it's not a guideline of the expectation, if you will. So I'm with Johnny, and Johnny doesn't open up doors, but I don't ask for that. Johnny doesn't buy me flowers just because, but I don't ask for that. I can't really get upset 5 years in when Johnny's not doing these things that he never did. Had I would have set the expectation earlier on to say, hey, Johnny, I need for you to open that door for me.
Yeah.
You know, I love flowers. I like getting flowers just because. Whatever type of courtship that a man might give a woman, those things need to be stated. And even for men as well. You know, men think that they get in a relationship with a woman and mysteriously, they go into homemaker mode. That's not how it works. If she didn't cook for you on the second or third date, now y'all have children, you expect her to be Betty Crocker. It's unrealistic expectations because those lines were never drawn in the beginning. What do you think?
I agree with that. I think also to that point, if you don't think that you're worthy of certain things, you won't demand those things.
True.
So I think that's really where it comes down to whether you love yourself or not. So I think the bottom line is you can't expect someone to love you if you don't love yourself. And so I think it starts with you. You should be enough. You should be the whole entree, the side, everything, and the person that you're with should just be the garnish to make it look pretty, than, the cherry on top.
Absolutely.
So I think,
You're right. And then, another thing too that I had thought about is when you don't love yourself, you might have a great partner coming in, and that partner, no matter what they do, they could flip backwards, they could, ride a roller coaster with a banner saying, I love you.
Yeah.
If you don't love yourself, you won't be able to accept it.
You'll never be good enough.
You know what I'm saying? You won't be able to receive that because you don't feel worthy of.
Yeah.
And you find that a lot in relationships too, where one partner feels like I'm giving them everything.
Yeah.
Like, why are they still cheating? Or why are they, doing these things?
Right.
I feel like they're checked out, but they have all these insecurities.
Yeah.
So they're not loving themselves and they don't feel worthy of love. So they're incapable of the reciprocal part of it. Because it's supposed to be reciprocated. Yeah. I love you, you love me. And it's not just a word. Love is action.
Right.
It's an action. So I don't need you to tell it to me 10 times a day, but the fact that you took the time to take the garbage out, the fact that you took the time to rub my feet or pour a bath for me because I did 8 hours and I'm tired, or you take the kids out to the park so I could get some rest, cook a meal because I usually do all the cooking. Just those typical things. It doesn't have to be, go get the G5 and let's go to Paris. That's not, for some people that's a reality.
Yeah.
For me it isn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be those over the top things. It's the little things, that I feel makes the relationship.
Where do you think that people not loving themselves might stem from? I mean, that's a general question, but just a couple of points.
Childhood, definitely. I'm in the field where I do know that things that happen to us as children, we never resolve them. Then we become adults with issues. And I am a firm believer that depending on your childhood, depends on what type of adult you become, depends on what type of parent you become. And a lot of us have a lot of trauma that we don't deal with, that are too taboo to discuss, whether it's mental health, from anxiety all the way up to the broader spectrum of having bipolar disorder or, schizophrenia, whatever the case may be. These are the things we don't talk about or discuss, and we think that, Tamika's gonna make me whole, or Kevin's gonna. No, you can't find that happiness in someone else. You have to already be happy and complete. And like you said, and then that partner is just like the garnish on the dish,
Yeah.
or the cherry on top of the ice cream. You can't really look for another individual to be your everything.
Exactly. I think some people get stifled with emotional development from childhood because when you're a parent, you're trying to console, and you teach the child from young to not feel, to not have those feelings, and you become adults that don't know how to deal with your feelings. And so then whenever you think about things that might make you sad, you don't really want to lean in to that feeling because you don't like how it feels. So then you end up blocking things and you end up having walls. So I think some people can't even begin to sort of elucidate or figure out why they may not feel good about themselves because it hurts. And so I think until you really can do a self-evaluation of yourself, then you begin to see the good things that you have. And I recently started doing this. I know it would be hard for me to take a compliment. Like, people would tell me different things about myself and I would feel like, okay, yeah, it's really not that big of a deal. But then I would start to write down things that people would say about me, or the nice things that they would say, and then I would try to start to repeat them to myself because that is me. So there's a balance between being, happy with yourself without being too full of yourself. And I think that is a good balance, and maybe some people can try and use that. What do you do to make yourself feel worthy, or what things have you done to come to that point, or were you always felt worthy of different things?
I wasn't always confident. A young woman growing up and dealing with a lot of different things that I've dealt with, difficulties in life. I never just always like, oh yeah, I'm that. No, I didn't.
Yeah.
I had very low moments in my life, and not even just superficial, like when I'm saying low moments in my life spiritually, but I've learned in my darkest hour, and I've learned that the times when I felt the lowest and I leaned on God and He always showed up for me, no matter what I went through, I wound up having like this unspoken blind faith that it's up to me to put it out into the universe, and then God sends it back. So that's what I do. I don't depend on man. I don't depend on a relationship with a man, family, my kids, nothing. I know it's me and God. And so the first step is me. But that happened after hitting total rock bottom at my lowest point, and trying to figure out, where am I? Who am I?
Yeah.
Where am I going? And what's going to be my story? What's my next milestone? And it happened, actually. The epiphany happened in a really bad relationship. And so when I was letting that relationship go and that relationship died and I had a rebirth of me, it was a rebirth into different dimensions of my life. It wasn't just the relationship aspect. It was just womanhood. It was career.
Yeah.
It was a whole rebirth of self.
Yeah.
And so that happened, though, after my lowest point.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think that one thing that people might not realize is that your relationship with people or a romantic partner also mimics your relationship with other things as well. I noticed that for me, I tend to go towards a pattern of chaos, and then things quiet down and I feel a reward from that. Just like with my job, when things are really chaotic and then I can sort of fix the situation, and I feel like, okay, that's good. So I think there were times when I was not in the best relationships where I thought that pattern was acceptable. It was a lot of fighting, a lot of ups and downs, and that was comfortable for me.
Yeah.
But not until I realized that it's not the best for a relationship for me, because it's too it tears you down emotionally. Then I realized that was not the proper pattern. So I think you're right. When you do kind of wake up from those different patterns, it does transcend into different areas in your life, and then you're better for it.
Yeah, I mean, you are. And then loving yourself is loving the whole entire dynamic of self. We're not perfect, but you know what? I know what I'm willing to deal with. I know what I'm not willing to deal with.
Yeah.
And I think that dating doesn't really set you up for what you want. I think it gives you examples of what you don't want. And that's why dating is important.
Yeah.
So you can get to figure out what it is that you really don't want. If you learn yourself and you love yourself, and then you set those expectations and you set those boundaries early on, expectations and boundaries of a relationship is important because it sets the tone. So if Mark is used to breaking dates with you, and then he calls you and you pick up the phone and accept it, he's going to continue that behavior. If Mark breaks a date with you and you say, you know what, Mark, we had plans and you canceled out on me, good luck.
Yeah.
It was nice speaking to you. And put Mark on ice for a couple of weeks, maybe even a couple of months. If Mark is interested, he's going to still pursue, but he knows, you know what, I can't play these type of games. She's a different kind of woman.
Yeah.
You know, case in point, I'm not going to say who, but in a relationship I was in, this is real life. I got into an argument, you know, with the gentleman because he wanted to beat me getting mad, but he was late. And my point was, I invited you somewhere. How dare you be late? Because I could have took anyone. You heard? Okay? I have options. Well, I had options. I'm married now, but I had options. And he tried to beat me getting mad like people like to do. Like, you know, if you figure if they get louder than you, they're going to avoid the conversation.
Right.
But I'm too focused for that, so that didn't work. And so when he saw that didn't work, he opted to jump out my car. Okay, tuck and roll, boo. So yeah, that's exactly what I did. He jumped out, not skirt, right up the road and left him.
Yeah.
And him and I still talk about this to this day. And obviously he was used to that type of behavior.
Yeah.
Obviously he was used to doing that, and a woman probably would have came back because he kept saying stuff like, when I kept seeing headlights, I thought, and hearing cars, I thought it was you. Why would you think that? You jumped out the car. I'm not coming back for you. Bye. See you.
Yeah.
You know, good luck.
Yeah.
You know, hope a deer doesn't attack you. Like, I mean, I don't know what it was that I was supposed to do, but what I do know is that if I would have went back and got him, more than likely he would have continued that behavior of jumping out of the car, because guess what? He know that I was coming back. That was the first and the only time. He never tried that again.
Right.
So, let the record reflect. We do have more control over our fate and our lives than we believe. You set limits, expectations early on for your mate, whether you're a male or female, because it works both ways. And then you'll see those, you know, who are going to stay around because they're going to see your worth as well, or those that are not going to stay around. But then they really didn't have any plans on, you know, probably doing anything for long-term future. It was just a quick fix that they were after, and you didn't need that anyway.
Right.
You know, so
I think some take-home pearls for today would be, you know, kind of knowing yourself, getting to love yourself, dealing with those issues that you may have, and leaning into those feelings, not being afraid of them, and figuring out what you want, what you don't want. You can even make a list of your, you know, deal breakers, a list of your must-haves, and a list of your negotiables. And seriously, think about those things, because a relationship and a long-term relationship is not just, you know, some whimsical fairy tale. It's real life. It's a partnership, whether it's, you know, women and women, men and men, or, you know, women and men together. It's all the same. So you have to mesh the two adults with two very different ideas together and go forward. So I think, you know, those are the things we would like to just highlight from today.
yeah, and also love yourself.
Yes.
Self-worth is important.